are going to another episode of HardFoul Radio. This is the show that values time and puts God first. Appreciate however you are watching, however you are listening. We are live on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, however you catch us. It is a beautiful Monday, especially if you are someone like me who is a Chiefs hater. It is a super beautiful Monday, but let's get into it. Let's not waste any more time. So, I could come in here and I could laugh, which is what a bunch of people are going to do, because unfortunately this is how sports have become. There's so many opinions, there's so many topics, that it's basically become a situation of, do I like this? Do I not like this? I'm going to give a take that's based on if I like this or don't like this, and we'll see if I'm proven right. And the only way to truly be proven right is simply, did my opinion turn out to be true? So let's try to be a little more nuanced than this. The people that were sick and tired of the Kansas City Chiefs dynasty, which is understandable, we all were except Chiefs fans, because that's how dynasties work. The one team winning, their fan base loves it, everybody else rejects it. But let's try to use a little bit of analysis, use a little bit of nuance, use a little bit of insight. The reality was, this version of the Kansas City Chiefs was never going to last forever. That's the reality. This version was never going to last forever. Now, are you theoretically always going to be in contention as long as you have Patrick Mahomes? I believe, without a doubt, yes, 1,000%. So this year, even though it's a down year for the Chiefs, it's a down year for the Ravens. The Bills, depending on how you feel, some people might feel it's a down year or not. As long as those guys are there in those situations, you are going to have to respect those teams. That's the reality of it. Look at even a team like the Bengals. Look how much different they are with Burrow, without Burrow. You have an all-time great quarterback. You are going to be in contention in some shape or form. But as I said, the reality is this version of the Kansas City Chiefs never had a chance to last forever. Think about it. It's really more of an homage to how amazing Tom Brady was, and I think despite Brady not being that far removed, we are not understanding how great, or we're misremembering how great his run was. There were multiple versions of that Patriots dynasty. There was multiple. There was the early years with the defense, Teddy Bruschi, Richard Seymour, Ty Law, Deion Branch, the running game, Belichick showing that he was truly the defensive genius that helped the Giants win Super Bowls. There was the explosive offense, Randy Moss, Wes Welker. There was the two tight end set. Then there was Julian Edelman. Think about this. Brady had so many different versions of the Patriots that we forget Gronk was drafted in 2011, and he is probably Tom's most notable connection / pass catcher. So the fact that Gronk is thought of as, oh, that was Brady's guy forever, and he wasn't even drafted until Tom had been in the league for over a decade, shows you just how long and how much Tom had to pivot, switch, adapt. So the idea that, yes, Mahomes came into the league and already had Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce was already there, and Andy Reid was already there, and he had this great foundation that he went and maximized the hell out of. Go to 5 Super Bowls, win 3 of them, an all-time run, the greatest way to ever start your career. All that is true and valid. But this version wasn't going to last. And some Chiefs fans want to say, well, we've already adapted and pivoted because you've had post-Tyreek Hill and with Tyreek Hill. Yeah, if you want to, fine. You could say that's the first pivot. But now this dominant defensive team, which, again, we have to look at the GM, that Brett Veach has gotten a lot of love and he's made a lot of great draft picks. But some of those draft picks, notice, they don't look as great when Chris Jones isn't as dominant. And Chris has played a hell of a last couple of games. And I've been on Chris Jones for the last year and a half that he was no longer the same player. But the last couple of games he's playing great. But Karlaftis doesn't look as great when Chris Jones isn't dominating the same way. McDuffie, I know he got hurt in the game last night, but he hasn't been playing the same level as when Chris Jones is dominant. Some of these guys, they are not playing at the same level as they once were because Chris Jones, who in his prime was competing with Aaron Donald for best defensive tackle in the sport, he's just no longer that guy. Travis Kelce in the offense. When Travis Kelce was the best tight end in the NFL, that offense looked different with or without Tyreek Hill. So now, as Travis is no longer who he was, Chris Jones is no longer who he was, Mahomes is human. Maybe one of the greatest quarterbacks you've ever seen, but he's still human. There's only so much you can do with that level of offense, with that level of team. And so, as the Chiefs, this part of their, again, are they going to miss the playoffs? The likelihood is yes. The likelihood is yes this season. Do we just totally count them out and say, okay, now they can't do it? Now they're no longer good? No, because they're going to be back next year, and it's, can they retool the same way the Patriots retooled? Again, there's an argument Brady had 5 different versions. He had the 4 different versions of New England, and when New England was finally, had totally run its course, he went to Tampa, and another Brady archetype was there. So there is multiple levels to Brady's career. And again, and I've pushed back on this, Chiefs fans. Mahomes is amazing, and I don't want to give the Chiefs any credit, but Mahomes is amazing. And he's had the greatest start ever to a career. But let's slow down. I said this 2 weeks ago. Let's slow down on this all-time placement stuff with Mahomes. If Mahomes never wins another Super Bowl, and I'm not predicting that, but if he were to never win another Super Bowl, if we look at the end of his career and go, okay, he's got 2 MVPs, 3 rings, 5 trips, and let's say he gets up to playing 17, 18 years, plays another decade, we're not going to look at him as definitively better than Peyton, who's got 5 MVPs, 2 Super Bowl wins. I don't know if we're going to definitively look at him as better tthan Joe Montana, who's obviously 4-0 in Super Bowls. Like, in the moment, while we're watching him in real time, yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, this guy's amazing. He's incredible. What can't he do? But when you look back at the end of it, Brady had 22 years of playing, and Brady was not considered unanimously the GOAT until after the Falcons Super Bowl. But we want to just raise Mahomes to this, he's already there. And again, maybe he'll get there, but not with this version of the Chiefs. The next time Mahomes wins a Super Bowl, Chris Jones won't be on the roster. Travis Kelce won't be on the roster. We'll see defensively who they keep playing. But Brett Veach, this is now your job. You have your all-time great quarterback who already maximized what you gave him to start. And now, can we do it round 2, version 2? What does this Kansas City Chiefs look like? And can they continue to be this very prolific team winning all these games? But the version that was Mahomes, Kelce, Reed, and Chris Jones, clap it up. Y'all had a hell of a run. But this version of the Kansas City Chiefs is over. Let's see what version 2 looks like. Moving on to, I've pushed back somewhat on this, and that was, I believe that there's enough adults in a room, in an organization, that if something is so clearly biting you in the face and will help you win, you will look past, in all the sports, basketball, football, baseball, you will look past character issues and maybe certain things you don't like that you consider flaws if that person can help you win games. Like, you will deal with, the Pelicans, for example, dealt with Zion Wade issues because there was clearly a playoff viable team with him, and they were not even remotely close without him. And they're like, okay, we'll deal with some of the weight issues in the morning or in the beginning of the season. Luka, his weight issues, and start with Dallas. He comes into the season, he's always a little out of shape, but we're clearly a playoff team with him, got to the finals. We are not a playoff team without him. We see how it's going this year. And you'll live with that with guys. And so I say that to say, I pushed back on some of the Shedeur stuff that, the Browns were totally sabotaging him. Because I thought if he was, and I thought highly of Shedeur, I thought he was going to be a first-round pick. I had him going to the Steelers in our mock draft, remember? But him going to the 5th round, it's like, okay, is everybody wrong on him? And that started to hurt in my mind. It's like, is every single person in the NFL wrong with him? Because if he was that level of talent, he would still go high. This is how sports have always worked. Abdul Carter is showing so far in his rookie season. He's done some knucklehead stuff or some immature stuff. And he was so talented, though, that if they did a redraft, Abdul Carter would still go top 5. And so the Browns get Shedeur, and it's like, okay, we're going to start with Joe Flacco. Okay, you're starting with the vet. I can buy that. Then you go to Dylan Gabriel. It's like, well, we drafted Dylan Gabriel ahead of Shedeur Sanders. Okay, I wouldn't have drafted him ahead of Shedeur Sanders, but okay, I can kind of buy that too. Then you bring in Shedeur, and the first game, okay, you're playing against the Raiders. Probably that they sacked the Raiders 10 times. Probably anyone could have won that game, but you saw some progress. You saw some explosive. You saw the big explosive play that Myles Garrett was like, wow. Then the Niners game, he was probably never winning that game. The Niners just better than the Browns. And then yesterday, Shedeur played out of his mind. 300 plus yards. He's the first rookie to throw for 300 yards this year. Had a couple of touchdowns. Made some exciting play. Showed you that he is, if nothing else, if you're the Cleveland Browns, give him a chance and let him play because he's better than anything else you got in the building. And then Kevin Stefanski pulls the 2-point play at the end of the game and takes Shedeur Sanders out of it. This is where I drew the line on, okay, we're not buying this, but that's fine. If Kevin Stefanski truly does not want Shedeur Sanders, and Shedeur is clearly the best quarterback in the room and in the organization, guess what, Kevin Stefanski? Organizations will keep their quarterback if they believe he is a franchise guy over their head coach, even if you are a 2-time Coach of the Year award winner. So if you don't want to play with Shedeur Sanders, that's fine, Kevin Stefanski. You can just leave. You don't have to be here for the next step. And the good thing, if you're a Browns fan, one of the things that saves dysfunctional organizations is just accidentally or because you're so bad falling into greatness. This is the high-end example, but the Cleveland Cavaliers were a dysfunctional organization. And then the 2003 draft, they're terrible. They get LeBron. And guess what? They're a good organization then because they fell into greatness. Congrats. You got LeBron James. My Pelicans this year. Everything about that draft day trade and a bunch of stuff in the offseason, I know they're terrible right now as far as a record, but what they got in Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen is like, oh, okay, there is now progress here. There is now a goal here. They are going to have a legitimate rotation with or without Zion Williamson. Like, great. You can just be so terrible you fall into greatness. It's one of the nice things about sports. And Shedeur yesterday, if he can just be, again, stats-wise, I don't really care about the stats, but just play like that, where he outplayed the number 1 overall pick. I know the Titans got the win. That's your guy. And Kevin Stefanski, if you don't want to play Shedeur, that's fine. They will replace you. There's smart offensive guys all over this league. And smart offensive guys want to go to where they think they have a chance with their young quarterback. And if Shedeur can be the guy, Kevin Stefanski, bye. Don't let the door hit you on the way. I mean, if you want to be a part of one of the coolest, most unique communities, don't forget to like and subscribe.